In the shadowed depths of Middle-earth, where ancient evils slumber, there lies a creature of untamed fire and forgotten dread, the Balrog of Moria, Durin's Bane. A relic of a darker age, it lingers untouched by time beneath the misty mountains. Yet, amidst the chaos of the War of the Ring, a question flickers like a flame in the darkness. What if Sauron used the Balrog? In the canon of Tolkien's tale, Sauron did not summon Durin's Bane to his side. The reasons are woven into the complexities of Middle-earth's history. The Balrog, a being of immense power and chaos, was a servant of Morgoth. Its loyalty was tied to its ancient master, and its existence in Moria was marked by isolation and fear rather than ambition. The Balrog's presence served his purposes in its own way, barring the dwarves from reclaiming Khazad-dûm and deterring the free peoples from crossing the misty mountains. But what if the story unfolded differently? What if the fires of Moria had been unleashed upon Middle-earth, not as an isolated horror, but as the vanguard of Sauron's dominion? Could the free peoples have withstood such a combined force, or would the world have been consumed in shadow and flame? The Balrog was no mere beast, but a being of ancient power, one of the Maiar corrupted by Morgoth in the First Age. These were creatures born of chaos, their allegiance sworn to Morgoth alone, and their purpose forged in destruction. Durin's Bane, a solitary survivor of the War of Wrath, had retreated into the depths of Khazad-dûm, where it remained undisturbed for centuries. When the dwarves, in their relentless pursuit of Mithril, dug too deeply, they awoke the ancient terror, igniting a chain of events that would scar their history forever. As Gandalf reflected in the Fellowship of the Ring, they delved too greedily and too deep and disturbed that from which they fled, Durin's Bane. The flames of Moria, long dormant, stirred once more as Sauron's malice stretched forth, seeking to awaken the ancient terror hidden within the deep halls of Khazad-dûm. Yet, even in its isolation, the memory of Morgoth, its ancient master, burned brightly within its fiery core, an ember of allegiance that Sauron sought to rekindle into an inferno of destruction. Sauron, the master of deceit, wove a web of manipulation that reached into the darkness of Moria. Through his servants, the Nazgûl, and emissaries of shadow, he invoked the Balrog's ties to Morgoth, symbols of their shared past. Artifacts that spoke of the First Age were brought forth, relics imbued with the lingering malice of fallen Valar, whispers of rekindled chaos, promises of destruction unrestrained, awakened the Balrog's dormant fury. As Tolkien describes Sauron's nature in the Silmarillion, a shadow that could not be wholly banished, for he was ever a master of shadows and of phantoms, and could make himself appear as he wished. This mastery of illusion and manipulation enabled Sauron to exploit the fears and desires of even the mightiest beings. But it was not force alone that swayed Durin's Bane, for the Balrog, like Sauron, was a Maiar, a being of immense power and will. Sauron's strength lay in his cunning. He did not seek to command the Balrog, but to align their purposes. The world of men and elves, Sauron argued, had grown complacent. Together, they could return Middle-earth to the fiery chaos of its primal days, a vision that spoke to the Balrog's own destructive nature. As Tolkien writes in the Silmarillion, the Balrogs, demons of terror, their hearts of fire and their whips of flame. These words capture the essence of Durin's Bane, a creature that yearned not for dominion, but for annihilation. It was fear, too, that Sauron exploited. The Balrog, though mighty, was not invulnerable. It had hidden for centuries, wary of the wrath of the Valar and the forces of light. Sauron's emissaries whispered of a rising power, of the Valar's disdain for those who had once served Morgoth. They painted Sauron as a shield against the judgment of the West, a protector of the remnants of the ancient order. This deception planted a seed of desperation within the Balrog, compelling it to emerge from its sanctuary. As Gandalf reflects on fear and the nature of darkness in the Fellowship of the Ring, always after a defeat and a respite, the shadow takes another shape and grows again. Sauron's cunning shaped that shadow, turning fear into a weapon as potent as flame. Thus, the alliance was forged, not one of servitude, but of mutual intent. Sauron promised the Balrog the freedom to unleash its fury upon the free peoples, to wreak havoc and destruction in the name of shared darkness, and in return, the Balrog's presence became a weapon of fear, a harbinger of doom that bolstered Sauron's armies and struck terror into the hearts of his enemies. From the depths of Moria, the Balrog stirred once more, but this time under the manipulation of Sauron. Unlike the canonical timeline, the Fellowship became aware of its awakening. Its presence, a deep and ancient shadow, was enough to alter their path. Knowing the peril of confronting such a foe while still burdened with the ring, Gandalf led the Fellowship to avoid Khazad-dûm altogether. Thus, in this version of events, Gandalf never faced the Balrog in the mines of Moria. He remained Gandalf the Grey, for now. This decision gave Sauron the time needed to bring the Balrog into his fold, binding it through cunning and promises of destruction. The fires of Durin's Bane burned brighter than ever, not as a solitary terror, but as an instrument of Sauron's malice, reshaping the fate of the War of the Ring. Though convincing the Balrog was no small feat, it took time for Sauron's emissaries to break through the creature's solitary resolve. Once bound to his cause, Durin's Bane remained hidden, awaiting the opportune moment to strike. Sauron, ever the master of strategy, chose the siege of Minas Tirith, a time when the free peoples were already battered by despair and chaos. That moment came as the armies of Mordor surged forth to claim the White City, their dark banners blotting out the horizon. Tolkien describes the siege in The Return of the King with vivid detail. Great engines crawled across the field, and in the midst was a huge ram, great as a forest tree 100 feet in length, swinging on mighty chains. Grond, they named it, in memory of the hammer of the underworld of old. Great beasts drew it, orcs surrounded it, and behind walked mountain trolls to wield it. The defenders of Minas Tirith, weary yet resolute, stood against the tide of darkness. Grond thundered against the gates, the Nazgûl circled above, and the skies were choked with ash and smoke. But just as the city's defenders steeled themselves for the onslaught, a new terror emerged. From the shadowed ranks of Mordor's host came the Balrog, its fiery presence casting an eerie glow over the battlefield. Its whip of flame cracked like thunder, and its footsteps left scorched earth in their wake. The timing of its arrival was no accident. Sauron had unleashed Durin's Bane at the height of the siege, ensuring maximum despair among his enemies. As the Balrog strode forward, the great gates of Minas Tirith trembled. Even the stout-hearted men of Gondor faltered at the sight of such an ancient and terrible foe. Tolkien's words on despair capture the moment. A great dread fell upon them. a shadow of despair, and they forgot their peril and the hope that they had. Yet amidst the chaos, a single figure stood unyielding. Gandalf the Grey, his staff gleaming faintly with the light of the secret fire, stepped forward to meet the Balrog. It stepped forward slowly onto the bridge, and suddenly it drew itself up to a great height, and its wings were spread from wall to wall, but still Gandalf could be seen, glimmering in the gloom. He seemed small and altogether alone, grey and bent like a wizened tree before the onset of a storm. Gandalf's voice rang out, clear and unwavering, as he faced the ancient terror. "I am a servant of the secret fire, wielder of the flame of Anor. You cannot pass. The dark fire will not avail you. Flame of Udun, go back to the shadow. You cannot pass." As the battle reached its climax, Gandalf's power prevailed, and the Balrog was vanquished in a fiery tempest. But this was no ordinary victory. Gandalf's sacrifice in the heat of the struggle marked his transformation. As he fell, consumed by the confrontation's fury, he was not lost but remade. His return as Gandalf the White would stand as a beacon of hope, a testament to the resilience of light against the encroaching darkness. As Gandalf himself later reflected, "Darkness took me, and I strayed out of thought and time. Stars wheeled overhead, and every day was as long as a life of the earth. But it was not the end. I felt life in me again." With the Balrog defeated, the tide of the siege began to turn. Aragorn's arrival with the army of the dead brought a glimmer of hope, and the defenders of Gondor found the strength to rally. What followed, though filled with trials and triumphs, is a story known well to the annals of Middle-earth. If you enjoyed this exploration of Middle-earth's alternate histories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into Tolkien's world. Thank you for joining us, and as always, may the stars shine upon your faces.